properties.
Okay. Good idea. Councilman Park? I'm sorry, that ain't my bit, that ain't my role. Sorry about that,
A
man.
couple things I would say. I think BIDA's moving in the right direction. I think we're making progress. We've got to sell property. We've got to sell property. You know, our audit report says we were supposed to be selling, and we got to sell. And we're not going to give it away, but we got to sell some property. I think that's going to happen this year. I would also just say that definitely. I think we're in fairly good shape. You mentioned the submissions, and we're going to talk about that at some point, but when you say there were 7 submissions, I'd like to see those that are on the outskirts in addition to those 7, if there's anything there, you know. So I don't know what a cutoff area would be where it's something that's obviously not legitimate or reasonable, but, and this is the BIDA board, but speaking for the city council, I'd like to see more than 7, if it's only 7.
Come on, what now?
In terms of the 6 West, you said you had 30 something back, and you said you're looking at 7. Did I hear you right? Because I thought I heard 7.
So there were a total of 7 submittals. There may be an 8th, but the 30 was referenced to a conversation where they had spoken with interested investors in December.
But they never submitted.
But we only had 7 actual submittals, so we don't have additional, you know.
Okay, gotcha. So
eyeballs.
7, and maybe an 8.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
I'd just like to see, I guess I'd
You
like
want to see all, yeah. You need to know who all,
Yeah.
the whole net.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Councilmember McKenzie? I'm looking forward to a wonderful partnership between the council and BIDA during this year. I also would like to see us, you know, we spend a lot of our time focusing on 6 West, but there's other property in the city of College Park that needs to be sold.
Okay.
And I would like to see more of a focus on us marketing those properties, getting those properties sold, and focusing on that because 6 West is still pretty complex. But we have so many opportunities that we can begin to generate income for the city, get development going in the city. So I don't want us to be pigeonholed in terms of our thinking and our view, that we stay open-minded and that we explore all the possibilities. I do believe this is going to be a great year because we've got a great team, and we have developers that are lining up even right now that want to come into the city of College Park. I do agree with what our city manager has already said. We want to see College Park put on the map in a great way, and I do believe that we have this opportunity and this team that can make that happen.
Are we marketing the properties outside of 6 West? Is anybody marketing those properties for us? I guess that'll be Michelle.
We had only for the 55 properties, Keller Williams was actively marketing. We had on LoopNet, just internally, the Jamestown, but not the Princeton. So we needed to follow up and get direction on the
Actually, my
specific.
question is no.
Yes and no. Yes, the 55 acres, that's
Other than that?
non-West. Sorry?
Other than that,
No, not as they are available on LoopNet for the,
but we have no broker out trying to.
no,
Okay.
sir.
All right.
Councilmember Arnold.
Yeah, I think my colleagues have said the same thing that I'm concerned about, which is having a comprehensive marketing plan for the properties outside of 6
Yes, ma'am.
West.
Yeah.
I think that is an excellent opportunity for us to leverage for the city to make some additional sales and resources, finances for the city, but having a comprehensive marketing plan. So, you know, who's going to do that, how we're going to do it, are we going to leverage our website to do it, are we going to leverage some of the videos that we do. You know, having that plan is going to help, and we may even be able to utilize it also when we move into 6 West, right? So I would like to see more work in that area. And then also, if there are any opportunities for us to look at how we're going to have some additional green space. I don't think that it's, I think I've said this before, that I would like to see us offer a park on Godby Road. So however we can talk about that and come up with a plan for that as well.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I think one of the things that all of us should be taking into account is thinking about how we support housing at every level. Whether it's someone who's coming as an entering person into, as a new person into the workforce and how they find a place in College Park, and how we are looking at some of our golden residents who might be in houses that may be a little bit too big for them.
Senior living.
And they may have space that is in excess of what they need. How do we meet housing needs, and how are we cognizant of that at every phase of life? I think we have a great opportunity here as we move forward in both the 6 West process and other parcels around the city, that we should just keep that in mind as we move forward.
So it is very early. I understand meeting last 10, 11 o'clock. We ain't even 8:30 yet. Will the council give BIDA 5 minutes to engage questions to y'all that we may have concerns about? Does anybody from BIDA have anything for council? I have one thing. So usually, in that first development is the hardest thing to get out of the ground. Once you get that first development going, you can get some synergy going. Would council be opposed to BIDA offering some kind of incentive on the land? Let's say, for example, let's say our priorities get housing. Residential is I'm just using that example. Let's say residential is all our top priority. Would council be opposed if BIDA gave some kind of discount on the land to get maybe those kind of houses you're talking about, but to get that first project out of the ground, offer some kind of incentive?
And why don't we just go straight down the line?
Well, that's been what I've been approached by since I've been on council for 8 years. My only issue is that us carrying debt, offering credits, that's fine with the right project, but at the same time, taxpayers have carried the burden of approximately $45 to $50 million with purchasing land back from the airport and all of the infrastructure, and we just have to be cognizant if we can afford to offer as much of an incentive. You didn't ask this, but since I got the mic, this one thing I had wanted y'all to also be thinking about is attraction. I was excited at first when council used to talk about bringing an attraction to College Park. Attractions bring visitors buy houses. So let's be creative in this next year's, even to the extent of thinking like zoos. Just be creative and not just think about a hotel or motel. Just be creative is what I'm saying.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Councilmember Carter?
Yeah, I agree with Councilman. I think before we start offering incentives, let's see what the offers
Oh, yeah,
come back
it's not
are.
going to start tomorrow,
And,
yes.
because somebody say, hey, we want to buy this and do the residential part, and we're ready to get going, and the price is right, then we look at that. But we keep that in our back pocket just in case. We said generally last year with anybody, we said no tax abatements and no more infrastructure. We done put in enough millions, but we keep it in our back pocket. I'm not for a tax abatement like the Camp Creek Marketplace 10-year tax abatement, but I'd say the only thing, and this is just me talking again, this is just me, I would say maybe during the build, if it's going to take you a year, 18 months to build, maybe you get a little abatement there since you ain't bringing in no money. But after this, you open the doors.
Here's what I was kind of thinking about. For an example, we got developers, so they're going to do, I'm just using low numbers, 100 apartment and 10 single-family homes. Well, we may want 8 apartments and 30 single-family homes. So if that's what we want, we say, okay, we'll give you a break on the land if you build more single-family homes. That's kind of where I'm going. Oh, we're like thinking we should go.
Let's see what we can come.
It got to be something that we want.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Before to give any
Let's be
incentive.
flexible.
Okay.
In terms of the 6 West, I'd say the idea was maybe 60-40 split.
Okay.
Rental
Whatever
to
that number is,
residential,
yeah.
but that was,
Okay.
Councilmember McKenzie?
I think incentives are a great idea, but more so than incentives, what I'm thinking about at this time is really being more open in how we, and more creative in terms of how we do what we do. For instance, when we start looking at 6 West and we look at the little bit of the residential that we have been continuously looking for someone to purchase all the acreage and do a development. And I think that we need to make consideration of maybe just even, we could divide it. Find somebody that wants to take on 5 or 6 acres. And sometimes you just have to get started.
Okay.
So rather than trying to build Rome in one day, let's start considering, and so maybe you might have someone that you would give an incentive, not for the whole entire large parcel, but somebody that's going to do a quality project and on a smaller piece of the acreage, because sometimes once you get started, that opens up the whole the whole box. So that's where I would like for us to consider even not trying to take on the whole thing if that's not going to work, but looking at a good quality projects that could open the door to the larger one.
Councilmember Arnold?
So I like incentives as long as we don't put ourselves in a position where we lose leverage. We need to have some type of measure of accountability, right? So back to your example of if we say that we want them to develop 30 houses, 20 townhouses, and they do something different, that we have some type of way that we can hold them accountable.
Any more
Mr. Chairman,
questions from
that sounds
Biden?
like a qualified, it depends.
Yeah. Any more questions from Biden? To council.
My question to the council, to mayor and council would be, as we wait on 6 West, as we hear with Mercedes about constraints of capacity and space, and with the constraints of the Dream now reconsidering because of the constraints with the space of the arena, would you consider expanding the GICC to another level?
Good question.
Or, because we know that's guaranteed revenue.
Well,
Well, I mean, we can't go,
I don't think we need to go
I
one by
think it
one.
doesn't
Let's
make a
just
difference.
let whoever wants to answer the question, answer the question.
well, in terms of the Dream, first of all, I saw the articles in the whole nine. I don't think the Dream is going anywhere. They sell out some of their games, but they're at 40%.
So maybe you weren't here when Mercedes gave her presentation.
Yeah.
She said something entirely different.
Yeah, she said something entirely different.
Well, I met with Mercedes, and I don't think they'll be here for 24.
Okay.
Yeah, so-
she said that.
And I think they'll be beyond that as they increase their occupancy percentage, but they're not halfway occupied fully, and so they're going to get to that other side of the other half before they consider growing pains and that it's too small.
Well, one of the things I would like to add is that you heard her say that they may consider building a larger facility. I mean, it's neither here nor there, but I always wanted the arena to be across the street and let it become the economic catalyst for 6 West, like in where they make the country music. What is that? Nashville. They got an arena down the street and a GICC up the street. I thought that was so cool how they planned it. So my thing would be, in terms of expansion, maybe we could look at something across the street rather than trying up here.
Dr. Williams?
We're all excited about selling land and starting 6 West. Are we, as a city, able to handle the traffic in terms of infrastructure? I'm talking about sewage and anything that goes into infrastructure. Is there a plan to build up the infrastructure, or are we adequate? We're good where we are?
I'm not an engineer,
We
so I don't know if we
definitely,
qualified to answer that.
I don't know, I don't believe that we have a plan. I met with Ed Wall and Althea the other day, and I am concerned about infrastructure. We have,
Go ahead, sorry, go ahead.
did you want him to answer?
Yeah, I mean, he has an answer. If not, can you get the
Okay.
city engineer to, somebody
Okay.
to answer that question for the next
There-
meeting.
So he wouldn't be aware of the infrastructure plan that
Right.
exists. So there is absolutely a comprehensive list of the infrastructure needed to support it, both for traffic, to assume it. They did a big regional impact study with a crew of engineers of what would we need for capacity. What we don't have, and we have the cost estimates, but we don't have the funding plan. So we need the investment plan.
That's what I was
How
gonna
to pay
say.
for it. So
That's what I was
we know
gonna
what we need, and we still have to find.
So at one of our next meetings, can you put that plan together so we can see it?
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, to Dr. Williams' question, in regard to sort of our personnel infrastructure, I know that electric is looking at, electric, public safety, they are already looking at how their infrastructure expands in relation to what happens at 6 West. They're actively talking about those discussions.
Thank you.
All right, then, we'll call and if there are no other questions, ma'am, I think we're ready to adjourn.
Any further business for the council? Hearing none, we are adjourned.
Like to,
8:30.
if there's anybody like motion to adjourn,
Yeah, no, you just said meeting,
meeting adjourned.
in the time. The time.